What's going on, guys? Simple Episode here, back with another Spiral Top 10 for y'all today. And continuing on with my series of videos, obviously, one time every episodes from some eras. Right now, I'm get to what I think are the true, one of the best episodes from seasons 33 to 40. Basically, like the vintage era of the show. From Life is Genetics, Game Changers, Hero vs. Hustlers, Ghost Island, David vs. Goliath, Age of Extinction, Idols, and Winners of War. And there was a good episodes that came from this era, despite the fact that Healing Fire was just dead, honestly, and because of this era, and obviously does definitely criticize for that, honestly. We still get some good episodes from this portion, which we'll get into. But I still hope you're enjoying, and I'd love to know your favorite episodes from this portion of Survivor down below in the comment section. Anyways, let's get to top 9 of the best episodes from this portion of Survivor. Now, kicking it off at number 10, we have I Will Destroy You, episode 7 of Survivor Millennium vs. Gen X. Spoiler, that's just not going to be the first episode. This, honestly, when there's some portions of this era Survivor, some seasons are going to make higher up than others, but yeah. Millennium vs. Gen X, I think, in my opinion, is a really fantastic season. I think it's honestly one of my favorite seasons of the era, if I'm being honest. So, there's definitely a lot of great episodes that came from this season. And one of those is I Will Destroy You, which is basically episode 7. And really, the only reason why this episode's on this list is definitely the Michaela blindside. Because while there definitely are some fun moments beyond that, after Figgy being blindsided and Taylor being upset at him for what happened, but it's really the Michaela blindside, which one it may seem like a really great move at first. When you see what happens to him later in the season, definitely down numbers. It probably wasn't the best decision at all to make this decision. Yeah, basically, it was not a good idea, obviously, and it kind of blew up in the face. Of course, again, Mikhail's like, kind of reaction like, what? What? Did you do it? Yeah, I did it. Yeah, just that reaction, though. Like, again, download Princess Episode 2 where it's on this list, and I'm 10. And now at number 9, we have a first episode from David vs. Goliath. Again, in that episode, season that you guys have to see a couple episodes later on this list because this is definitely the best Monty season of Survivor and one of my favorite seasons in general. With number 9 being Brett Death First Search, which is episode 9. Basically, all the astronauts will draw and get blindside, and then basically get the blame blindside here, obviously, where you get a lot of craziness that happened with his traffic council. Nick basically using his vote on Allison and using his steal vote on Allison and getting the 2 votes, taking up on his idols successfully, and then getting the I don't know fighter, which obviously, while the I don't know fighter is not like the greatest person in the world, obviously, and Al plays a lot worse than when he used later on the idols. It makes for a really entertaining TV this time around, obviously, with the user, and then Dan actually had 2 idols. Ends up getting voted on, so call saying, ding! Playing kind of the original here, which is again pretty hilarious. Not joking, I think a lot of being like a top tier season. Like a lot of episodes could have made those honestly. I probably could have like half this list or muscles with these episodes of life, obviously. But I did try to make it a little bit fair, obviously. But this episode is still great. And now at number 8, we get to the only episode from Edge of Extinction to make this list. Episode from Edge of Extinction ended up making the actual list, and that is I See the $1 Million, which is the finale. And like, really? The finale makes list? The one where a third boat came in and won the game? That's what you're talking about? Yes. But that's what makes it so entertaining. Well, I can do that having issues, obviously, and the Chris, obviously, why I don't think his win as impressive as something out to be. Seeing Ash's unfold makes for it's definitely a clusterfuck of a finale, but it's an entertaining one in that. Again, I'm really like I said, I don't think his win is as impressive. His run in season, his run on during this last few rounds aren't as impressive, honestly, most because he's kind of given an idol, kind of given a half out, obviously. So most on that, but you can't not done a lot of areas is actually is pretty impressive. Obviously, basically the Toy Bremer basically Vince Lauren to actually use the on Chris, which was pretty impressive, and then basically Lauren had provided Lauren her episode 2, by the way. Ended up using on Chris, which was shocking, and then Toya, who was a big power player in the season, ended up getting the boot. Well, the Village Man couldn't have done that anyways, obviously. It's still a pretty impressive goal with Rick Dempsey as well. And we see Rick winning another immunity, obviously, and then Fike Al being planted, then Chris using his actual idol, and then Lauren end up getting the boot as well. And then we get, of course, we get the moment that ends up cementing Chris as a really risky play. As again, say what you want, this was definitely great. One of the best moves from a winner for sure. But basically, he actually gave up immunity, obviously, and then decided to face fire against Rick Devins. He ended up being like the biggest man in the game, and then he ended up winning by how did he win again by? 9-4 vote. I remember seeing it live. I was like, did that just really happen? Again, say what you will about the statistics analysis, obviously, and of course the flaws of the statistics twist in general, but you can't deny how epic that round is. Honestly, you can't how insane all that stuff is. How insane all that stuff. Sorry. You cannot deny the insanity of all that, and it makes for just pretty entertaining television and pretty insane, crazy moments that have happened throughout that time. And again, it makes for incredible television. So yeah, it's definitely clusterfuck, but fun clusterfuck. And now at number 7 and number 6, we get the 2 episodes from Survivor Wins War. Again, one, it was disappointing in some aspects, I won't deny that, and World War is still a fantastic season in my opinion. And again, there definitely are some episodes that didn't make this list, obviously. But at number 7, we have the finale, it all boils down to this, and number 6, we have the premiere, Greats of the Greats. Again, I can say what you want about the later half of this, about whatever happened later on this season, but again, the premiere was, I remember being like super excited when the episode was premiering, and the fact that we were getting all these former winners, and see them all like grow off the boat, seeing winners we were never gonna see play again, honestly, all on the beach together, and them like cheering on with Jeff, honestly, with campaign, like, I mean, come on, you can't get any more like, sweeter, more exciting than that. And yeah, that's basically what we end up getting. We get so many exciting moments, so many incredible things that was going to happen this season. Seeing places like Boss Rob, Amber, Natalie, Danny, Tyson, Ethan, Joel, Tyson, Sophie, Kim, Jeremy, Nick, Tony, Michelle, like all these players that have demonstrated themselves to be like, great winners. And well, I'll say more. The premiere episode is not the most like interesting when it comes to like vote outs. These setups on to be all these players, obviously, Andy and Natalie actually got Bruce surprisingly and to Jeremy, and then Amber comes up and just talk about Rob. Well, it does kind of set tone for a lot of the old schools give out early. Again, it makes for entertaining TV. And then we get to the finale itself, obviously, where, again, Natalie, the first brewer, ends up returning to the game. We get a crazy job council, and we get Michelle ends up repeating what she did, what she ended up kicking the thing involving the challenge was pretty hilarious. And then we got another, like, no Trump council with Natalie and Ben, and then Denise gets voted out. Ben decides to surrender and basically tells her to vote her out. And then we get an emotional fire making challenge between Tony and Sarah, which leads to Tony winning out. And well, yeah, it was pretty obvious at the point that Tony was going to win that season. It still makes for a pretty satisfying finish because I'm seeing the fact that I don't think any of us expected Tony was going to make it to the end and win the season. Like, I'm sorry. I did not think any of us were expecting Tony of all people to win. I'm pretty sure none of us expected that. And yeah, that's what happened. I'm still shocked to this day, so yeah. Yes. And now at number 5. And number 4, we get to the 2 episodes from Millennials versus Gen X to make this list. With number 5 going to $1 Million Gamble. This basically has to just being the episode where basically, I believe this was the one where Brett comes out as gay, which was a pretty touching moment. You got kind of blindside Chris in this episode. And then we get like some fun media challenge wins. And then we get the return to promote tiebreaker race at the end between Zeke and Hannah. A lot back between all that craziness. And then Lisa Jessica, of all people, gained the blindside, which was a very emotional vote out. And then at number 4, we actually get to another finale. That's I'm going for $1 million. A pretty insane finale for like you never really know what was going to happen until the very end. And the first one, honestly, basically did win immunity. Jason used the one steal he got from Adam that he gave him a few episodes prior. Which, by the way, is the episode that actually just missed that list. And then basically, again, David actually making Jay the perfect fake out of him to find. He ends up doing it, ends up being like, oh my god, that's got me when it was a perfect fake out, and then Jay finally gets the boot. Go ahead, Jeffrey. Stop my torch. I like Dinner Time. And then we get another episode where Adam plays Idol, but then David doesn't give out that, and he ends up blowing up Red Out people with David, congratulations, the rest of you just lost $1 million. And then we can Ken decide to end up breaking his word and ends up voting out David. His closest ally since the very beginning with a very emotional goodbye. And again, David probably ending his journey out actually showing a lot of growth since his first time on Survivor. And then we get the crazy tribal council. Like this is like the first true last found tribal, honestly, with the questions. And I'm honest, I'm not really a fan of the new. I've never really been a fan of the format that we got nowadays. I don't think anybody is, honestly. But nice enough that obviously would Adam end up winning in like a 10-0-0 vote, which obviously considering his emotional story was very rewarding. And now at number 3 and number 2, yeah, I'm doing this again because I wasn't fucking at these one row, obviously, but yeah, we now got 2 episodes from David vs. Goliath and 2 all-time great episodes. Number 3 being Jackets and Eggs, and number 2 being You Get What You Give. Of course, the third one basically being like the Angelina Jacket episode, where basically trying to find Natalie just to get her jacket. Again, it's just a very entertaining episode from beginning to end comes to all that stuff, and a lot of tribal dynamics that we got going on here. And at least Natalie getting voted on the 3-2 vote, and of course Angelia's like, Natalie, can I have your jacket? Natalie, can I have your jacket? Natalie, can I have your jacket? Natalie, can I? I'm exaggerating, but that's kind of what happened. And of course we got You Get What You Get, basically it's the John Hank blindside, which is definitely one of the most shocking blindsides in the show's history, because even going to the end when actual votes are read, none of us betting what John was going to get voted out. They did a pretty great job of hiding from us. And we got a lot of advantages with figuring out which one we play. We got David playing his idol for Christian, getting someone against him. Angelina begging Dan to play idol Angelina, which he did. They're getting 2 votes. And then John getting the 3 other votes. Which I remember like, what? Wow. Wow. And Richard Stewart has a lot of greatness of this season and this cast in general, and that long puts it to where it is on this list. And 2 alternate episodes. Somehow it's number 1. But before we do get to the number 1 best episode of this portion, let's of course always get into the mentions, the episodes that were still good, they just not make the list. First I'll mention we got I Was Born Tonight but Not Last Night by Anianos. Yeah, despite Anianos being like a pretty terrible season and another bottom tier season, again, pretty much was pretty solid honestly overall, and then we get the episode that happened basically before, the whole situation. Was definitely a pretty good one. And then we got Y'all Making Me Crazy, which is episode 8, which basically is like also the Julia crazy life tribal that happened. And the crazy one from before that. And then we got the 2 episodes from Hero vs. Heroes for Also is that end up not making the list, obviously, because again, I don't think this is a really great season, not a bomb tier season by any means, but nothing season has like too many standard episodes. But the 2 episodes that didn't make it were basically I don't like having 60 round, basically it's the Diana Blindside and Get Together, which is the Jessica Blindside episode. And then we got 2 Game Chase episode, obviously, which was surprising. But we do get them with JD, which basically is the JT Blindside episode, and Sandra being Sandra episode, and then trying to turn 2 teams kill against each other. And then Tables of Term, which basically is like the Malcolm Blindside episode. And then we have the only Ghost Island episode made the list, which is like Fear Keeps You Sharp, which is basically like the Chris Blindside episode. Honestly, again, the only Ghost Island episode that's even worthy of makes this. I wasn't gonna put the finale here because by the final vote being great, this episode just kind of okay. I'm trying to haunting honestly. I'll benefit another video if I get to talk about finales in the future. We'll see. And then we have War Is Not Pretty, which is episode 9 of What Is a War, which is the one Adam basically tried to have the pony and thinking pony was an idol. That alone puts it on the list. Then we have a Great Power Queen Responsibility, which is the finale, and honestly wasn't the fact that Nick it's actually been the greatest episode, honestly. It's probably would have made like at least maybe number 10 and number 9, honestly, but it kind of sounds it a little bit, but it's still a great finale. And the last one, I think I mentioned before, this was probably the episode that just barely missed my list. It's about to have a rumble, which is episode 11 of season 3 of Memphis Gen X. Basically, the one where basically, Adam's loved one visits, and then him, emotional about his mom, and then Jay's had to pick up for the one anyway, give him his word steal. It's not the most relationship between like Adam and Jay, and then we'll basically have like big blue itis and blindside Zeke. And yeah, my number one actually was kind of pretty obvious, honestly. Like I knew as much that we had like so many great episodes. Like every episode here is fantastic. My number one was still pretty obvious, and that is This is Extortion, episode 11 of Survival as a War. Basically, the Tony episode. Yeah, me and I make a video on Tony, honestly. Like, he's a player that I've grown so much appreciation for, honestly. Like, I didn't tell him that I really didn't like Tony, honestly, when I first watched Kagana. Again, I'm not explaining that video, honestly, why, but again, Tony's still obviously the best character, along with Coach, to ever make Survivor, and this gameplay pretty much proves why. Honestly, like it's a crazy series of events, obviously, where he tried to. At first, I saw him getting the extortion advantage, that was played against him. Again, his reaction to the real thing was playing against him was pretty hilarious. Getting him somehow getting 6 fire tokens, honestly, which is playing to know his like incredible social ability. Not only that, he also ends up winning immunity against. So crazy that Tony was a challenge base this season. You know, allow him more his isms and all that stuff, and then we basically get him actually getting like Jeremy, Michelle, and Nick to blindside Sophie in the 4-3-2 vote with her eye in her pocket. Again, the fact that all that stuff even happened, and so he obviously wouldn't be like get more focus on Sarah, but it led to a lot of crazy shenanigans and. Yeah, it's freaking Tony crying loud again. I don't think I should know if I want this episode is number one, because, yeah. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed me telling my favorite episodes from this portion of Survivor. Let me know down in the comment section what are your favorite episodes from this portion of Survivor from Millennium First Jack towards the War. Let me know down below in the comment section. And again, I do plan on the next one's going to be on the new era. Then I'll be talking about my eventual worst and best. So stay tuned for that. I am One World from World Productions. I will see you next time as always. Stay cool about that. Peace. Let's bring positivity your way today.